Welcome to the Industrial Talk Podcast with Scott McKenzie. Scott is a passionate industry professional dedicated to transferring cutting-edge, industry-focused innovations and trends while highlighting the men and women who keep the world moving. So put on your hard hat, grab your work boots, and let's go.
All right, again, welcome to the Industrial Talk Podcast. Absolute honor that you have joined the number one industrial-related podcast in the universe. It's even beyond Galaxy. That's what I'm all about. And you know what it is? It celebrates you, the industrial and manufacturing professionals, the companies that get it done. You are bold. You are brave. You dare greatly. And boy, do you innovate. You're making my life better. You're making Ethan's life better right next to me. And you're making the world better. And thank you very much. That's why we celebrate you. We've got a great interview. Absolutely great interview. Ethan, did I get Karp? Did I get that right? Ethan Karp, man. He's the bigwig here. He is the president and CEO, right? President and CEO of Magnet up here in Cleveland, Ohio. And that stands for Manufacturing Advocacy Group Network. It's a mouthful. It means a lot. Let's get this show on the road. Yeah, we've been talking. Gosh, we've been talking throughout this whole experience. I've been talking about collaboration, innovation, education. Do it with a sense of speed and purpose. Make mistakes. Keep going. You know, if you stub your toe, shake it off. Move forward. That's what we're all about here on the Industrial Talk Podcast. And here at this organization, Magnet represents all of those components. They collaborate. They collaborate with the best thinkers within this area and around the world. They also innovate. You can see right behind it. If you're out on the video, you can see right behind us. They have robotics. It's just right there. And as you start looking around, this is a fantastic location. And then, of course, they educate. That's their purpose, man. They educate, and they know how to do it with a sense of speed, sense of purpose, because they want you, the manufacturing base here in Northeast Ohio and around the world, to be successful, because that's what it's all about. How you doing, Ethan?
I'm great.
I'm winded now.
That was a great introduction.
Yeah. Okay, we're just going to wrap it up. All right. Now, for the listeners out here, by the way, if you ever come to Northeast Ohio, Cleveland, I can always say Northeast Ohio. If you come to Cleveland, right, and you connect with Ethan, which I'm sure you're out on LinkedIn because your stat card's pretty damn cool out there. Okay, your LinkedIn stat card, thumbs up. Come over here. They give you tours. They've got a lot of cool stuff. It's like a science museum for manufacturing and adults. It's cool. Anyway. Give us about a little 411 on who Ethan is, right? Why you're such a great professional. And then we're going to just venture on into Magnet. Talk to us.
Hey, I'm passionate about manufacturing just like you are. Manufacturing is the foundation for our country, certainly Northeast Ohio.
Ugh.
It drives the economy, both in terms of that real life we make stuff, but also just the numbers themselves show that half of Northeast Ohio's economy, that is a full 50% of every single job, is somehow related to manufacturing. Meaning if manufacturing went away in this economy, half of every job, every pizza parlor, every bank that supports what we make would be gone. We are dependent upon manufacturing, and that means we want it to grow. And that's what I'm passionate about. I have a very wide background that brought me to this spot running this organization, and it ranges from PhD in chemistry to working with big Fortune 500 companies at McKinsey. And now at Magnet, we get to see people on the shop floor, CEOs making really innovative decisions, making the things that run the world.
See, it's interesting because I've had the fortunate opportunity to be involved with the term Industry 4.0, Manufacturing 4.0, whatever this whole digital transformation world we live in. And I've had that fortunate opportunity. What fascinates me, Ian, is the speed. There is a sense of speed. You know, it's like, well, Industry 3.0 wasn't as fast as Industry 4.0. And it's like the versions are coming out like, we can do this, but now we can do this, and we can do this. And that's what is so fascinating about this particular location, Magnet, is because you recognize the speed. You need an ability to be able to consume that information and to be able to see it in action, because that's what manufacturing does. I mean, it puts it into action and creates things. So anyway, the question would be, why is it important?
When I look at the future of manufacturing, I break that future into 4 parts. One, it's the talent. We all know, excuse me, we all know before COVID and certainly it will be that way again after COVID.
Yep.
That talent and the gaps we see in talent are going to be the number one issue. So we know that that's one issue, and we know that that talent can't just be the same old talent. It's talent that knows more about automation and technology.
Yeah.
We know all this, and it means it needs to come from probably new places that we're not thinking of, potentially more diverse places, potentially inner cities, reinvigorate European style, which truly was American style for 100 years, apprenticeship from the high school on, so kids get to see early what this all means. All of that is wrapped into talent. That's the first piece. The second piece is technology. Let's call it transformation, because that's really what we're looking at. Now, maybe this isn't different than it's always been. Manufacturing has always been changed by technology. We don't look the same we looked 100 years ago, 50 years ago, 10 years ago. Technology, the machines behind me, not the robot running it, but the machine behind me, the CNC itself, is a revolution in technology, and we've been experiencing it. Today's revolution in technology is just slightly different. And it's slightly different because it is not yet table stakes for when you go out and you upgrade your equipment, it's not going to come with a collaborative robot yet. That means we have the opportunity to upgrade our facilities. In fact, more than the opportunity, we have the imperative to upgrade our facilities with all of this new technology. And it's a wide range of technologies, because we are truly at a Cold War in technology with every other country,
Wow.
with every other industry. It could be, if you want to look at your town, your city, it doesn't matter. There is someone else out there putting this technology in, which means we must keep up and we must get ahead of it. We do innovation well in America. We need to be sure that in all of our companies, particularly the small and medium ones, which are so prevalent, they actually get ahead of this technology. Now let me back up in that transformation.
Jeez,
because
Ethan. I like that.
it's where we live at Magnet, you said speed. The other piece of that puzzle is cost. The cost of these technologies for small companies has come down. And that maybe is the thing people aren't seeing.
Here's the funny thing. So if I had a nickel, Ethan, every time I had somebody talk to me about IoT, all of the stuff that's associated with it. And I remember long ago when I did a project for a utility company and we wanted to try to extract data from a transformer. It was a CapEx project. It was like, okay, dig a ditch and do this and stick this and be able to really focus in. Today, that doesn't have to happen. These devices that can collect the data, well, from a cost perspective, easy to procure, and the value of these things are powerful, and it's like, oh, here you go, just stick it out there on that asset, and you're rocking and rolling. To your point, absolutely, and that cost confirmation and conversation has to happen, because it's not. I mean, it's strategic, baby, and you can do it.
So out there is a Fanuc robot we bought for about $40,000. State of the art, last year, vision system. And about a third of the time, it appropriately picks up some letters we have that spell out welcome to visitors coming in. And I say a third of the time, and I mean this, because we bought the robot and we've got an engineering department. They're creating products, they're creating machines, automated equipment. They're creating this stuff for the manufacturers in our ecosystem here. We tell people, get these robots. We tell them, get these vision systems. And then they have to go out, and our engineers can't do it because it's really complicated, and program those robots.
Right.
So a $40,000 robot became an $80,000 robot really quickly with the amount of programming that was required to do that task. And yet, we built the shielding internally. We put the base down where the letters will fall off of the holder so it can be put back on. And it still doesn't work as planned. And the programming can't do it. It turns out the letters overlap. Right? And so you needed a vibratory table. I haven't put the vibratory table because I like telling this story to say, this is the challenge that small companies have when you talk about technology. Here's the thing. This robot behind me is a $30,000 robot that a smart engineer came down and learned how to program in a single day. And it is tending this machine. It is taking these pieces and parts out. That is when I say cost, and it is truly applicable. You can get one of these, experiment, etc. Your device to check the monitoring. Every one of these equipment in here has a device to monitor vibration, temperature, humidity. All of that information isn't useful, but it was $3,000 to outfit all of this, and I have a television screen over there that's going to display all that data onto the cloud. Now, what you do with that is complicated. You've got to figure out how do you get it into your continuous improvement programs? How do you use all that data? This isn't like set it and forget it. But if you're not figuring out how to use these tools in your processes, in your companies today, 5 years from now, when everybody is, you're going to be 5 years behind trying to figure out how can I upgrade the way I think about my manufacturing.
See, so I've also taken the point, and there's 2 points, Ethan, that I want to make sure that I want you to explain to the listeners why this is good and it's not taking jobs, right? This whole move to innovation, digitization, and all of the robotics and you name it, Industry 4.0. Why shouldn't I be concerned? I know my answer, but I want to hear it from you. And then the other thing, no, we'll just go right there. Answer that one question, and I'll venture in the other one.
Last year, we took a survey of 600 manufacturers. A lot of manufacturers from Ohio. 2% of them said that they're using automation to replace workers. 2%. The vast majority of people, and I would say at least 75% of them, are looking toward automation because they see this coming. Automation being a subset of that whole I-4.0 Industry 4. You know, that's a big buzzword, but automation being one, and we can talk about what the other ones are.
Yeah.
Sensors being one of them.
Yeah, okay.
But I'd love to talk about, making that practical for people, just like this cost example
I like
does.
that.
But they're talking about it augments people. This robot behind me, sure, it's replacing a task that a human could do, but it also could give me 30% more productivity. And in a world where I want to increase my output, now I get to do, if I'm a worker, I get to do less repetitive tasks, which makes the job better. I'm paid more because I should probably know at least basically how to fix this robot because it's going to break. Inevitably, it's going to break. So the jobs get better. Now, does this mean, is there some trade-off? Sure, there's some trade-off. But honestly, most of the trade-offs for automation in manufacturing have already occurred. We cannot deny the fact that as an industry, we've lost a lot of employment over the years.
Yep.
Some of that certainly has gone overseas. Most of what went overseas initially were jobs that people didn't want here anymore.
The mundane, the just like packaging here, right. Do this.
Now today that's a different story because those countries didn't stop. They now invested in automation as their labor costs go up. So that's why I said it's even more important that we get on this train now. But the biggest reason we lost that employment was automation and not robots. The CNC behind me. How many people does it take to run that CNC that it would have taken to use all the manual equipment? All of those innovations and all the innovations around being more efficient, lean principles, those are where the jobs went over all this time period. Yeah. So to say that it doesn't remove jobs, we're going to see it in retail, we're going to see it in all sorts of industries, but manufacturing has already seen automation reduce the job count. So now we can look forward and say, we're going to get more output, better products, higher paying jobs, doing things like this in modern, clean, technology-driven companies.
See, here's the interesting question. I've been fortunate to be interviewing a lot of industry and manufacturing leaders. Great, fantastic. There are themes that have happened as a result of these conversations. And one is I've got to, in this world today, I've got to sort of survive. I've got to survive and then transition to rebuild because we've got hit by the two-finger death punch of COVID. And then I want to try to prosper. That's sort of where I'm at. Maybe I'm in the survival, maybe I'm starting to rebuild, whatever where you're at on that timeline. And the way they look at it is, how do I retain talent given the situation? How do I retain the right talent? Back to your point, right talent. How do I save money? Like, how do I become more efficient in my process? How do I, of course, make money, right? And how do I create a business of resiliency? Tell us how what you're doing here at Magnet in Northeast Ohio, how does it sort of address those components? Oh, by the way, the other component, manage risk. How do I either eliminate risk or build a wall around the risk so I can at least manage it? So tell us how that happens.
So the third leg of that themes, the things that we think need to happen over the next 10 years is new product development, new process development. That's the new services. That's the one piece we haven't talked about, which is part of your survive to prosper.
Yeah.
And
that's good.
The simple answer is people need to do it and need to invest in it. Like, we cannot rest. No manufacturer, no business can rest on the same product. And I don't have any fancy, you need to think about it this way, et cetera. Like a technology, I can say, even if you're in a survive mode right now, as soon as you get a little bit into that next mode, you should be testing this. Because you might not have the money to invest, but the moment the markets return and you're good again, you will then be able to leapfrog ahead. There's no magic in product development other than it is expensive and hard, and you got to do it. You got to put that money, or else your products will be obsolete. Your OEM that gives you the stuff that you're building to their prints will go away. They'll choose not to use you. You're at their mercy. You got to get out of their mercy, or at least become more valuable than your neighbor. So that's the third bucket. And the fourth bucket is your risk bucket. It's leadership. That's how we talk about that. Leadership, because it takes major investment in people, and the future of manufacturing. We know manufacturing today is about people. We like to look at the robots.
No. It is all about people.
And so we know that.
Yeah.
And that means we should be investing in those people more than ever before. That's number one investment you got to make. The second one, technology, it's going to be investment. And it's a risk that you're taking on. New product development, it's an investment. All of these things take leadership to be able to take on the risk and do them for your future. And there is risk. So how do we help, you ask?
See, this is brilliant, Ethan. This is brilliant. So with that, because for me, I know if I put my hat on, my business hat on, I know that I can come here and say, I know I got to do this, and I know I got to do this because, Ethan, you've been telling me, and it was on the Industrial Talk podcast, which is the #1 podcast in the universe. Anyway, where do I go to make sure that I manage and have conversation that I'm comfortable with, that gives me a vision? And I love what you're talking about. I love it.
So Magnet's role, and we play a small role in this. I'm articulating this vision of what we can be, but we have, with collaboration,
baby,
and some of our own internal know-how, we're helping de-risk all of these ventures. So the second thing on technology, you're seeing it here. We have programs where we're letting people try out these robots. We've got the engineers to lower the risk and say, here, we'll integrate it with your flow. Show you that that's actually an $80,000 FANUC robot, and what do you need to do about it? So there's that aspect. New product development. You want to develop a new product. You don't have an engineering staff. We are that engineering staff. We find other firms that are that engineering staff. We've got folks that can really help make a vision for what a new product could become to life, or new automation. The talent side is slightly more complicated, because by the virtue of what we're trying to do there as a nation, as manufactured, is more complicated. The best and biggest manufacturers in our region have not been able to solve their own talent challenges, even when they have the money, the resources, and the reputation.
What is the challenge? What are the talent challenges outside of education?
It is a broken system. This is what everybody has to get across. It is a broken system. And that means, yes, it is awareness. And everybody out there that is spending their time and their energy, and those manufacturers listening here that have given of their own personal time to raise awareness of manufacturers, I applaud you. It's absolutely critical. But we found, doing this for 10 years, you can excite 5th graders, you can excite 12th graders, you can get lots of people excited, but if they can't raise their hand the day after you do the presentation and say, what do I do next? Then they forget about it. And we can't buy enough billboards. We cannot spam them enough like Coke spams people about the amazingness of manufacturers to overcome that hump. So you've got to link awareness to, let's say, what's your next barrier? Okay, how about a program you can jump into tomorrow, and you don't need to be in a career tech program? How about an apprenticeship program that starts in the high school, any high school? This is another program we're piloting, trying to say a company can sponsor you in a non-career tech high school. By the way, I love career tech high schools. And if we could build enough brick and mortar, we cannot, it is too expensive to have training like that everywhere in the numbers we need. We should just be doing that. But since we can't do that, we got to go into high schools where in every high school, there's a group of kids who would see this as a viable career. And by the way, not career or college, but both. Maybe you just want to do career, that's fine. But if you also want to get your technical degree, you can get it for cheap down at the community college with high quality, stuff that is directly related to what you do on the shop floor. And by the way, most manufacturers will pay for that. So it's career and college, no debt. This is the message that then happens. Well, then you have another barrier. Depends on where you live. Can you get a car? Can you get public transportation to a job site?
Yeah.
That's a major barrier, especially if you want to access talent in inner cities. And why do I care about inner cities? Yes, I believe in diversity.
Yeah.
I believe in the power of browning our manufacturers. I believe in all of those things that diversity gets a company, and frankly, the social ills in our country that diversity and equity issue causes. I believe in all of this, and I think we need to fix it. But here's the thing. We got to fix it from the business side. And the business side is there's a bunch of talent sitting right here in Cleveland and in Akron and in Canton and all these cities in Northeast Ohio that are not able to be aware or get access to this career. And by the way, you're not going to get the bottom 10% of people from a highly wealthy suburban environment that couldn't get a 4-year liberal arts paid for education because they couldn't afford it, they couldn't get in school. We don't need those people in manufacturing. What we need is the upper 20% of people who can run these robots long term, who see this as a career opportunity, and there are tons of those people in these inner cities. But they face more of these challenges, like how am I going to get a car? How am I going to get transportation? I could go on and on and on.
Apparently, you've had this conversation before. Have you been talking to Jack?
So Jack actually runs what we call sector partnership, which we believe, along with a bunch of other manufacturers, we believe has to be the answer.
Yeah.
How do you fix the system? You got to do it systemically, and no one company can do it. So you got to get Jack's company and Juergen's and all these companies together so that they have the power, the heft, the enthusiasm. And by the way, there's a ton of government programs, there's a ton of nonprofits trying to fix these problems, not for manufacturing necessarily, but for people. I sit on the board of an organization, and there's an organization like this in every city location in the entire country. We call ourselves the Ohio Means Jobs. But this is the place you go when you're unemployed. This is where government dollars go and flow through to help get resumes prepped and help you find a job if you're low income. Every place has, as an example, one of these. I'm the board chair of the one locally, and it's that organization who helps people find those careers, coupled with another organization that helps them prepare themselves so that they know how to act in it and work in an environment, coupled with another organization that's advocating for transportation solutions. You pull them all together, and now you have the solution that manufacturers actually need. Without this, and the training providers, the community colleges, you pull them in, because no one of those solutions can solve the problem. I can train you, but you can't get there. I can bring awareness, but you don't have a program to get there. And at the end of the day, you're a manufacturer. What do you care about? That a person comes into your plant and is able to stay there. And so we don't have enough of this full system approach, fixing a broken system. It's complicated, it's messy, but there are manufacturers across this country, and if you're not one of them, you should consider finding whatever local group is doing this, trying to figure out how to fix those systems. And I really believe that even beyond getting these skilled workers in the future, we're going to fix some social divides. We're going to fix some of these issues that Black Lives Matter and all those movements have unearthed. We're going to actually fix them, but we're going to do it through business. We're going to do it through making more money as companies and making more products here in the United States.
Hey, can you adopt me just because I'm really I'm excited about what you are saying? You're absolutely spot on. Why is Northeast Ohio just something special? I mean, why? Outside of people like you and Jack and all the other manufacturers, I love that focus. I love that passion. I love that desire to not, it's really other focus, right? You want the success, and if manufacturing is a success, the people within manufacturing succeed, the communities succeed, the education succeed, everybody succeeds. And at the, that to me is a beautiful model. I love it.
You asked this question. I am not a political person. I'm really not. But
you work for a company that misspelled Mackenzie because I'm Mackenzie and I spell it the right way. Continue.
I am not a political person, but because our organization believes in collaboration, I engage a lot with politicians. I engage a lot with political endeavors. Our country does support through programs like ours. By the way, what we do here to help companies, there's organizations across the country known as the Manufacturing Extension Partnerships. We all have different names. So if you're looking for these same sorts of tools, you have one in your local region. We can help you find them. But this is a federal program, the MEP program. So we engage a lot in these processes. I am always thrilled to go and talk to a politician. And the reason is that it doesn't matter if you're Democrat, Republican, they believe in manufacturing. Manufacturers, they tell it the way it is. They're salt of the earth, and there's a grit. Those things put together in high concentrations, and we've got that in Northeast Ohio, is what I think makes it special. There's no BS. There's no beating around the bush.
I love it.
There's just, we have a problem. Do we need to solve it? They may be wrong. Manufacturers certainly have been wrong. That's not saying they're all right. But when they see the truth, when they see what they want to do, they don't jump around it. They say, we need to invest. We need to make this happen. Let's go. And that makes us special. That makes the industry special. That makes a pride for me wanting to help and support and grow this industry.
Are you active out there on LinkedIn?
I am.
So when I say, hey, I want to join your network, you're going to say yes?
Maybe. I'm not sure you're a real supporter of manufacturer. This interview's kind of got me questioning that. No, this is fabulous. What you do is amazing.
Oh, I love what you do. It's a teeny tiny component compared to what you guys are doing, and here in Northeast Ohio, fantastic. All right, you listeners, Ethan Karp is the name. Magnet, or Manufacturing Advocacy Group Network, is the organization. Reach out to him. Go out to LinkedIn, find Ethan, slap in Magnet. You'll find him. He's a good-looking chap. We go to the same barber. Anyway, all right, listeners, we're going to wrap it up on the other side. We're going to have all the contact information for Ethan at industrialtalk.com. Hey, thank you, my friend.
Thanks for coming to Northeast Ohio.
My pleasure. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the Industrial Talk Podcast Network.
All right. Once again, thank you very much for joining the Industrial Talk podcast. Go out to industrialtalk.com. Find out more about Ethan Karp and the incredible team at Magnet. That stands for Cleveland Manufacturing Advocacy and Growth Network. Put that out there. It's pretty easy. You can't miss it. Find out more. They're doing great things up in Northeast Ohio, and it's because of organizations like Magnet. The future's bright up there in the Cleveland, Northeast Ohio area. Wonderful people, wonderful companies dedicated to your success, passionate about what they do, and they're going to be just, they're going to come out of this whole COVID thing just sprinting. They're going to be prospering because they are doing things right up there. Reach out to Ethan. He's got a great stat card on LinkedIn, as well as, everything's going to be there. Just go to industrialtalk.com, find his interview, and you'll be able to simply connect with him that way. All right, again, we need to collaborate. We need to innovate. We need to educate, and we need to do it with a sense of speed. Everybody within Magnet gets it. You got to get it. You got to collaborate with these individuals. You got to be able to innovate, because that is the key to success, as well as education, big time. So be bold, be brave, dare greatly, change the world. That's what we're all about. We're going to have another great interview coming to you shortly. Be safe.